Hello everyone. Today I want to show you how to dramatically decrease the time you take to study and increase your grades. So you might not think it's possible, but let's just see how you feel at the end of this video. First of all, if you haven't done so already, just head over to www.secretstudyskills.com just to grab your 101 free study tips there. Alright, let's get on with it. Today I'm going to show you a real life example of how I would study for an exam. If you don't know me or yet, I studied engineering, and one of the topics I studied was fluids. So here what I've done is just drawn up a basic study plan of how I would study for an exam of fluids. Now, as I was talking about before, I wanted to dramatically decrease the time I took to study. So what I would do is grab as many past papers as I could. I would speak to lecturers and professors and find out exactly how much I needed to know of each topic within fluids that would be in the exam. So as you can see here, 40% of the past papers was made up of fluid flow questions, 10% of the past papers was made out of properties of fluid questions, 20% of mixtures, and 30% of pressure. So obviously, it would be silly of me to spend so much time on properties of fluids when I know that it only accounted for 10% of the past papers or 10% of the work that we covered in lectures throughout the course. Then what I would do is break up the subtopics of fluids into more topics, chunk them into smaller things. So I would know what exactly was expected, what I was expected to know about fluid flow. So in this example, I knew that the past papers, or the questions that we'd covered, were about viscosity, flow lines, and flow rate. Now, this is the easiest way to save so much time. It's just taking a little bit of time to plan what you're going to study and then go ahead and study it. There's no point sort of spending so much time on these things that obviously don't account for as much as would need to be at the end of the exam. Remember to look for your end result, guys. So that's exactly how I would do it. And what I want to do is now share with you a way that I would then further the time that I would use, and sorry, I shouldn't say that, the time that I would put into study to get the results that I got. What I would then do is use the power of leverage. So what do I mean about this? For the people who I studied with in engineering, we would get together in a group of say 3 or 4, and then what we would do is I would take the topic of fluid flow, my friend would take properties and mixtures and pressure, other people would. Then we would go about and write notes about that. We would try and find out the solutions to the past papers, and then we'd come together and teach each other about it. So if I were to do fluid flow, I would then teach my friends about fluid flow. And you learn so much more by teaching other people things that you've just learned. So it's another great way to learn about that sort of stuff. So that's just about chunking and about drawing a mind map together to plan to where you're going to put your time. It's the best thing you can do, because otherwise you're just grabbing so much stuff. You know, you're grabbing a massive textbook worth of just information, and it's just information overload. You don't know where to start, you don't know where to finish, you don't know what's important, and you don't even know what's expected of you in the exam. Always find out exactly what is expected of you in the exam and what the end result is. You know, what are you university or college or school for? You're there to further your career, you're there to better yourself. And so the end result of an exam is to get the grade you're after. So don't, stress so much about knowing everything that's in a book or something like that. Just be smart, think creatively, and go to look at the end result of what the past papers said. The other thing I just wanted to finish up on as well is that the problem that I had when I used to learn new things was that I had no idea what people were talking about. I mean, how do I then start to learn about fluid flow, pressure, and everything else? How do I start to learn about these things? Well, the one basic thing that you need to know is that you have to relate new information to information you already know. You know, when I was studying an example, say plasma, and someone asked me what controlled fusion in turbulence was, well, I would ask, how is that like a Coca-Cola bottle? I mean, explain to me in basic things how a Coke bottle relates to that topic, and you might think that's just absurd and that doesn't make any sense, but I know everything about a Coke bottle. I know what it looks like, I know what it feels like, I know how strong it is and how it will break when I smash it on the floor. So I would then ask a lecturer or a tutor or anyone that I could get help with, how was that related to all those things that I already knew? And it would then help me a great deal to move on to the next step, because that's all education is, starting from one step and moving on to the next.